how vulnerable the region is to terrorism, and when do we expect that there is going to be an end to it? Mr. Saleh, to you first.
First of all, salam alaikum, and salute to all three nations who will view this program. I'm very happy to attend this. It will be a dream scenario if the three countries, India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, cooperate on the question of terrorism and come to terms with definition of terrorism and find means and mechanisms to cope with it. But the reality is that we are very divided when it comes to this very critical question. For India and Afghanistan, terrorism means militant groups who are supported by Pakistan, who are based in Pakistan, who have been used as tools of foreign policy by Pakistan to both destabilize Afghanistan and also destabilize Pakistan. And of course, I'm sure that definition will be challenged and not accepted by panelists in Pakistan. So today, there is close cooperation between India and Afghanistan, and there is also close intelligence sharing between the two countries on how to stand against these extremist groups. But the disconnect between us is Pakistan, and we hope that Pakistan will one day join this strategic setup and realize that the greater good for our nations lies in cooperation, harmony, expansion of trade, and not remaining stagnant and stuck with rivalry and competition, which has hurt all the nations. I did listen to the introduction from Islamabad, where it was said Pakistan has suffered 50,000 killed, 200,000 wounded. But let's also not forget that the largest victim of terrorism in the region is not Pakistan, it's Afghanistan, where we have been suffering from terrorism, not post 9/11, but long before 9/11. We have been battling against Gulbuddin Hekmatyar's forces, who is still based in Pakistan. After that, we have been battling against the Taliban, whose leadership is still based in Pakistan. Now, the way forward will be, as I said, Pakistan joining this strategic alliance, both regional and global, to fight against terrorism and not be selective in identifying terror. Well, it's so obvious that Osama bin Laden was found in Abbottabad. The Haqqani brother was killed in Islamabad. Gulbuddin Hekmatyar is residing in Rawalpindi. The last Afghan delegation, which was sent to negotiate with a detained Taliban leader, he met that detained Taliban leader in a Pakistani cantonment. Yet when we raise the issue of terrorism being a phenomena encouraged by Pakistan, supported by Pakistan, used by Pakistan as a foreign policy tool, then the argument, the counter-argument is, where is the smoking gun? So let's define what should be the definition of the smoking gun if all of these examples are not do not constitute the smoking gun under hard evidence. Now, there is, on the other hand, no single evidence, hard evidence, provided by Pakistani establishment of Afghanistan having hand in sponsoring instability and violence in Pakistan. But they have created this imaginary picture and situation where they think that Ra, in cahoot with Afghan relevant forces, are exporting violence to Pakistan, but they have not been able to come up with a solid evidence. My conclusion in this part of our dialogue would be, If you look at the literature over the past 15 years, in the past 15 years, hundreds of studies have been conducted, dozens of books have been written describing Pakistan as the hub of the extremists. Some of these studies, let me quote Stephen P. Cohen, who has written 2-3 brilliant books, one called The Idea of Pakistan, the other called The Idea of India, and his latest book, which was published in 2011, called The Future of Pakistan. He calls Pakistan a reckless state, a state which has tried to destabilize the region, destabilize its neighbors, and has not benefited from this strategy of adventurism. Then we have to also realize that we are talking about post-Soviet collapse terrorism, not before that. The issue of Bangladesh in '71, I don't want to touch that because Delhi spoke about it. Now, my point to our interlocutors in Islamabad will be that isn't it the time that we come out of this mood of denial and realize few things? A, India is rising, Afghanistan is rising, the region as a whole is rising. The one country who is declining is Pakistan. It is because you are stuck with the narrative of extremism. You are stuck with the narrative of seeing your neighbors not as friends but enemies, and you are declining. Remember, we are rising because in our first democratic transition, we managed to create a government of national unity. In your first democratic transition, Pakistan was partitioned into 2 parts. And yet, it seems the establishment is not learning from the past.
Engage in a conversation where India is also part of the discussion between Afghanistan and Pakistan, because frankly, we have always thought one of the reasons that we believed Pakistan was refusing to see the reality on the ground was because they were obsessed with India and India's role in Afghanistan.
TTP, let me very briefly tell you one thing. President Karzai, the former head of Afghan state, sent me several times to Islamabad instructing me to tell the establishment, please do not make the border irrelevant. Else a country will emerge between the two of us that neither you nor we will have the control. That is the case. That is the TTP country. That is why you have smashed some part of the Miram Shah marketplace, yet you are not able to control it because you initially thought that playing with fire will be easy and it will only burn Afghanistan. The reality is that part, that stretch of land is neither under your control nor under our control because you have destabilized it down to its bones. So let us cooperate, find out what is the root of the problem in our region, and then we will manage to find solutions.